I'd like to call to order the Thursday, March 18th, 2021 Hingham Historic Districts Commission meeting. This meeting is being held remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to an order issued by the Governor of Massachusetts dated March 12th, 2020, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. So before we jump into the hearings, I just want to review voting members for tonight. I know at our last meeting, Hans was not able to make it, so I appointed voting members in his place. One of those voting members is Tracy, who's not here tonight. So Hans has viewed the videos from the prior hearing and is eligible to vote tonight. So I'd like to put Hans back in the voting spot on those two hearings. However, keep Ben as an appointed voting member for one of the hearings. So I'll just kind of run through real quickly to go through those. So on 681 Main Street, it will be the regular 5 voting members, myself, Carol, Justin, Catherine, and Hans. On 44 Middle Street, it'll be myself, Carol, Justin, Catherine, and Ben.
I'm about to present.
And then for the remainder hearings, it will be the regular 5 voting members, myself, Carol, Justin, Catherine, and Hans. So the only different one is 44 Middle. We'll keep Ben as the voting member on that particular hearing for consistency with the last hearing last month. Sound good,
Mike?
Yep.
I don't know if you had me for a voting member on 44 Middle, but I'm going to recuse myself on that anyways.
Okay, well that's good because I was going to keep Ben as the voting member on that one anyway. So that worked out.
Perfect. Thank you.
And as we're talking about any other conflicts, are there any other conflicts from any other commission members on any of the other hearings tonight?
No conflicts here.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we jump in? The first hearing is 681 Main Street, which is a continuance of a hearing from last month. We were able to head out to the site for a site visit over the weekend. So thank you very much for having us out there. That was really helpful for us to see the existing conditions. So with that, I'll open it up to Heidi or the Skidmores to sort of update us as to where your application is now.
Sure. I'm Heidi Condon of HC Design, representing the Skidmores this evening. Would it be possible to share my screen? Is it easier to look at the plans together?
Yeah, great.
Yes, I'll make you a co-host so you can do that.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll start. This is the 681 Main Street. It was, as you all know, it was constructed in 1823. And the front is quite original, even though some of the materials aren't, but we've got quite a lot of original details. But let me go to the plan. I think that's the most representative of the changes that we've made. And this is just a replication of the packets that I gave everyone. We all thought this was great, the tapestry that showed the house with the fence. And as we discussed on the site, we thought it was interesting that the path looked to be.
Heidi, sorry to interrupt you, but I think we're just seeing the photo of the front of the house.
Oh, you're seeing that? Hang on a second. That's weird. Let me just close that. So it paused my screen. Hang on a sec.
While we're waiting here, let me just remind everybody that unless you're Mike or Heidi, you should be muted.
So can everyone see the drone shot now?
Yep.
Yep.
So you can see the location of the property. This was the tapestry that we all discussed, you know, that, and the Skidmores plan to put the wooden fence back. We're going to return it to the house along the driveway on this side, but the one that they took down went straight to their property line and they'd like to continue that. We thought it was really interesting that the path at least appeared to be white and possibly seashells or gravel. So we were hoping to do something similar to that with the new path. Right now, there's no path, it's just grass. Here you can see the existing front and side. There's a fence when they purchased it. We can talk about this later, but this was the hardware that we thought we would put on the two doors. The current door has kind of a ugly schlag right now, and we'd like to do something a little more historic. Here's the wood fence, but we'll be doing it with the straight. It won't have the point. It'll match the original. And now let me just get the drawing. Should be here. Can you see the drawings now?
No, we're still seeing the fence.
Okay. Just a sec, new share. Did the plan show up?
Yep.
Great. So this shows the side elevation where we made the most revisions. We've pushed the addition back 18 inches on the first and second floor plan. And you'll see the reason why we did that was to line up with this existing shed dormer. And considering that the staircase was original to this house, you can see it here. I'm thinking that that dormer may have been original from the early 1800s. And so we would really like to keep that and align the addition with the face of that shed dormer that's set back 18 inches. And that is the only place where we can also get an egress window into this existing bedroom, which is quite small. So we really did not want to reduce that anymore as it's the smallest bedroom in the home. Going back to the side elevation, we also pushed the side entry back. So one of the columns really becomes a pilaster at the existing corner of the house. And we just did a very simple shed roof above, which you can see. I'm sorry, I can't turn these, but I'm hoping you all have your own drawings. Can I turn it? So you can see here, it's just a very simple shed roof right here. And that would be asphalt. We also, in this elevation, you can see, we originally had 3 windows across the second floor. We've reduced it down to 2. We have 1 centered on the new ridge, and then this is 1 in that existing small bedroom. We also removed the shingles from these 2 little windows. I can't go any smaller because I need to have this one be an egress window. So there's a certain limitation to the size, but I did want it to be secondary to the sizes within the existing original home. And then here we pushed the gas firebox in, so we won't have that bump out anymore. And then we also change the railing where the basement stairs are to be the wood traditional newel post and 1-inch square balusters to match the railing up on the second floor. And we thought this, it does have to be 36 inches high, but it looks more like a sticking detail that you see on many older homes. And that's really the revisions that we worked on. So in the back, you'll see this is the existing portion of the addition in the back. And Hans and I were talking about this. It's a garrison addition. And I could not find any more additional information, but we think it's from the 60s. And it probably did not go in front of a board, because I don't believe the board was in existence then. Was it, Andrea?
Actually, not really. And this wasn't a district then.
Okay. So we're not, we're improving the windows on this, but we're not changing the roof line. And we're not, going to the top of that roof line. We're keeping below the main ridge. So those are the reductions that we made, which we walked through in the site visit. So I was just wondering if anyone has any questions from our visit.
Sure. I think before we jump into that, I just wanted to mention that as part of the packets for the commission members and others, there were a couple of letters in there from abutters and letters of support. So we'll make sure that those go into the record. And I guess before we kind of jump in further, are there any other abutters who would like to speak to this application? Okay. All right. I had a couple of questions. One of which was having gone out there, and I seem to have picked this up in some of the images, is that the existing house, at least a good portion of it, is vinyl siding.
Yeah.
Are you planning to replace any of that or leave it as part of this project?
Right now, I believe the front is vinyl siding and we were going to leave it. I believe it's part of a phase to eventually change it to clapboard, but it's in pretty good condition and it's just not in the current budget.
Yep. Okay. And just looking at my notes here from last time, I appreciate you addressing the items that we had on the list here that we left the meeting with. So I appreciate that. So with that, I guess I'll open that up to the commission for comments or questions. Carol? Carol, you're on mute.
Heidi, do you know the height of the fence they want to put out front?
I don't have that information.
And what will the gate look like for the front path?
Well, we were saying at the site, they didn't want to do a gate there. They just wanted to leave it open.
Oh, but there'll be a way to go in.
It's just going to be an opening.
Okay. Okay. I'd like to talk for a minute about this side entrance. We once again seem to have round pillars on what I think of as a very...
No, they're square, right here.
They're not round?
No, they're square. If you look on the A1-1,
Yeah.
those are square piers, like right there.
Oh, okay. I looked at the picture and they still look sort of round, and there's no way of putting that step into the back without it sticking out in front of the side wall of the house. Like when you're out in front and you look along the side of the house, you're going to see this sticking out.
Well, literally this much. You'll see 12 inches of the edge of the roof and the pilaster. So it's maybe 4 inches of the pilaster. And then I've got, 6 inches of overhang and then a little bit of the roof because I want the same crown that's on the house.
Yeah.
So that's all that sticks out.
I do appreciate that you've pushed it back 18 inches. If I could wave a magic wand, it would be 2 feet, but I see what you're saying about the roof line.
And that is, so this length of the original home is 27 feet.
Yeah.
So that pie, and it really is more of a pilaster, will basically be a little bit over 26 feet back from the corner of the house.
Okey dokey, I'm good.
I do want to make sure I can kind of get rainwater away from the entry too. That's also why I have it protruding a little bit.
You know what the goal is. I'm trying to
I know.
not,
I'm just thinking I don't want icy steps and I want to give them a little bit of cover.
what are they made of? Is it granite?
It's going to be granite. The step here.
Yeah. And to go back any further, you lose a lot in that little back bedroom. I get that.
Yeah, it just would make it, I mean, their bedrooms are tiny as it is, and I'm thinking that's original. I mean, we don't know, but it could easily be 100 years old, if not older.
Mhm.
Okay.
Next.
I'll jump in and say it looks like an appropriate application to me.
Thanks, Justin. Others? Hans?
Oh, thanks, Mike. A couple questions, Heidi. First of all, thanks for the homeowners for reinstalling that fence. And I think the putting in that walkway is a nice improvement over what's there now. So I think bringing this back is great. Heidi, just coming out to visit the site, another really complex application and project you're working with here is kind of my takeaway. There's a lot of stuff here that's happened over the years that there wasn't really any oversight with the HDC, which is, pretty apparent.
Yeah.
I guess the first question is, given the complexity of what you're working with, did the homeowner think about taking down that back addition that was put up in the 60s and just kind of restarting this process?
Again, it just wasn't in the budget. Right now it's usable space. It's the bedroom here.
Okay.
On the second floor, and it's currently the bedroom. We just couldn't afford to take that down. And if you look
Okay.
at the front elevation, you really can't see it from the street peeking up over the ridge. I know it does.
Right. No, without being in the house and seeing the inside, just a thought that crossed my mind. Second thing is the on A2.2, you got this new connector to the top of the ridge and the cape. It looks like it goes right to the top of the ridge. Is that correct? Of the existing cape?
Yes.
Okay.
You're saying it's, I have the roof schedule. So this guy, I can lower it.
Yeah, it's on A2.2. It's right next to the chimney. It just
let me just get to that page. 2.2.
Am I the only one who doesn't have a screen share up anymore? I don't know if I pressed something that disengaged it. Is that still up? Because I'm not seeing
It
it.
still says I'm sharing at this end.
I have
I
it.
can still see it.
Yeah, I see existing left elevation
Yes.
and proposed.
So Hans, I can, because this is such a shallow roof,
Yeah,
it has to be rubber.
okay,
That's when Ben, recommended that we do something that doesn't have, it can either be rubber or metal. And he said with the metal, I can do it without the standing seam. So it just kind of grays out.
okay.
So I could probably do a lower roof pitch. I'm not sure I can still do metal. I may have to do rubber in that case.
Yeah,
It's a 212, and that's what the existing kind of shed dormer is on the side. You can see it right
Yeah.
here. Where my hand is.
Pretty flat.
Yeah. So Ben, do you know? Can I still do metal with a 1.5 pitch?
You best check with a roofer on that. The
Okay.
lowest we've done is a 3-pitch with a flat
Yeah.
lock metal.
Yep. So that I would just have to find out. I prefer to use metal rather than rubber, because rubber is clearly not historic. And I might be limited in how low I can go.
Part of the issue here, Heidi, is, these capes have a low ridge line. And when you put on a second story off the back that's as wide as the existing cape, you're going to naturally have to have a very flat roof off the back, or it's going to have very complex roof forms, which is what you have here.
Yeah.
On
And
a simple
we were
cape.
just going off the existing 212, which is that shed. So
Yeah,
that
I'm just, you got a lot going on here in the back to try to make it work on
yeah.
a simple cape. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing I'm wondering is, if you're going to go with an entranceway here, does that existing cape eave have to cut right into that shed roof? I mean, I think that's kind of funky.
Would you rather it be proud?
I don't know. It's just the placement of it is just, if the entryway is going to be there, it's even adding more complexity to this.
I can certainly look at keeping the current corner board proud and pushing this back a little bit more. Is that what you mean? If I did not cut into it at all?
I think this is a simplified version of what you had
Yeah.
originally.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you can take it a step further and somehow, I think that is going to be visible from the street and from the driveway. If you're kind of behind that, you're walking on the sidewalk coming down from the hill. Those are my main things here.
So I could leave, if you look at the existing left elevation, I could leave this corner board and we are removing this bay. And in doing what you're saying, I could have still a small roof, but maybe I'll just have to push just this wall that's in the mudroom back a little bit. So I can still have some cover. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So-
I
Nice.
guess I'd have to see it, Heidi, but
Yeah.
I think if that simplifies things and.
Because then I can keep this roof kind of behind that existing corner board. I'd have to push this in a little bit. And then I
just
still
think
have
if you're gonna go with a shed there, let's see the shed.
okay.
I mean, I'm more just trying to integrate this and make it as simple as I can with this cape,
Sure.
with all that's going on with the roofs already.
I can push it back. So there'll still be, so this, I can push, this column will disappear. This one will just go back and kind of be applied to the house. But then that would eliminate what you can see here on this corner. Does that make sense?
I think I'd have to see that.
Yeah, we can send that over. But then in doing that, I can keep the kind of the volume of the original cape intact on the left elevation.
I think that'd be fabulous.
Okay. I mean, our goal was to hide or cover all this garrison because it just isn't appropriate.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah.
And so our goal, why we did this was, we just replicated the existing kind of gable of the cape. And this is the existing shed wall in that dormer.
Mhm.
But I can pull that back so that would disappear. Are you okay if I have this window? I can make it smaller. We just wanted a window in the powder room.
Looks appropriate to me.
And I could make it even smaller. It could be a 3/3 instead of or a 3/2 instead of a 3/3. So I could remove this bottom. So it would be like a tiny awning window, which might look better and be more diminutive, if that makes sense.
I like the way you have it. It's a small version of the other windows. If you get too small, it may look freaky, like what's that doing there? What is that?
I actually disagree. I think Heidi is onto something. I feel like it's a little jammed in. If it's smaller, it could almost be interpreted as one of those little 3x3s that you see in an eave of similar capes.
Yeah, I can make that smaller.
I think maintaining the integrity of the original volume of the house by removing that pilaster and letting the original home sort of be the proud original is important. I think what you're suggesting for that side entry is really good. It also, that back rake board was seeming really elongated to meet the top of the shed. So I think we'll bring some more symmetry back to that original volume. And then one other question I had quickly, Heidi, is the peak of that second gable, the sort of pretend gable that you have going there, it's at the height of the 60s edition, or is it the height of the original volume? And is it possible to get it at the height of the original volume so that when you're looking at it from the road, there's not an elongated ridge line behind the cape?
So the reason why I did that, I thought having just this straight line actually disappeared more than having just a little piece of it. But I can reduce it down.
Do the other members have thoughts on that?
Because I thought it looked worse and asymmetrical when it was just this side that had that kind of peaked ridge of the garrison.
Yeah, I'm curious what the other members think of that.
I don't think it's noticeable.
It's so subtle.
I think it's so far back.
No.
Your eye is down here, so these drawings are deceiving. I don't think you're going to see it.
Okay, and then my last little tidbit is about the fence. I just need a little clarity. You're going with the picket fence, not the top rail fence, correct?
We're going to match, let me show you. This is what the fence looked like when they purchased the house.
Mhm.
So we're matching this.
We'll have square posts.
But, yeah, it's square post. It doesn't have the pointed on the top of the newel posts.
So I'm thinking about the tapestry that you shared in that second picture in page 2, and I really think the fence returning to the house has a specifically colonial vibe to it. I mean, it's a really traditional element to the house. And I don't know if the homeowners, I know it was going all the way straight across. A lot of things happened to this house before HDC got involved. I'm wondering if the homeowners would be amenable to putting it back the way it originally was. It really is kind of a striking colonial style, and I think the house loses a little of its charm. There's loss there for me.
It had a purpose. It was to keep the chickens out.
I think they're thinking it's to keep their kids in.
Keep
Yeah, I was
kids
just
in.
wondering, maybe that run of fencing that would have been closer to the sidewalk could go from the corner of the house over, so there would be, I don't know. It's just a question.
Allie or Blake, are you on that you could respond to that?
Yeah, we're here. Hi, everyone. I think we were thinking there's another fence on the property now that goes along between us and the Russells. So I think we were thinking we would connect back to that on that side and then have the fence, yes, return to the house on the one side. That was sort of what we were thinking after having initial conversations. I think we're amenable though to, yeah, rethinking that. I'm just not sure how it would look. I don't think we have a picture of the other side of the house currently.
Heidi, if you look across the street from this house, you'll see where the Pelsiers live now. It was old Miss Burns for about 50 years, and he just rebuilt the fence that was there, and it is one of those confining to the front door, goes from the corner of the house out and around to the corner of the house, and it was really to protect gardens and little flowers at the front from wandering animals, which were very common.
So the fence that was there, that was removed, went all the way to the property line, right?
Yes.
That's not a very old fence, though. That was the 50s or something.
I don't have, the whole length of it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it went all along down the other side there. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have a photo of the in between.
Would you be amenable if the Skidmores returned it and then at the corner of the house, they brought it across to meet their neighbor's fence, which might be this? Just so they have the fence yard for their own children?
Whatever's safe.
Yeah, I think that maintains this amazing charm that we're seeing here in this tapestry. And yeah, I think that would be, if they are willing to do it, I think it would make a big difference.
Allie and Blake, would that be acceptable?
Yeah, I mean, we live right across the street from Pelsier, so we've seen their fence and know exactly what's there now. We wanted to do was just make sure that what we were replacing, matched what was here previously, but we're definitely into returning it back to the house in the same fashion as the tapestry. I really like the tapestry. I was so happy to find at least something of our house at the historical museum. So it was kind of a blessing to be able to find this.
What a gift. That's a gem. What a neat thing.
Yeah.
So any other thoughts or comments from any other commission members?
Well, I'm just thinking that I'm afraid that the addition that was put on in the 60s just sort of took away the charm of the original cape because again, it's a case of the tail wagging the dog, but there's nothing can be done about that. I guess you can't see it at all from the street. Is that right?
That's right.
You really can't. It's
Yeah. It just swallows up the original cape.
in the back. Just trying to find that plan again.
I
That's
think
all of this back here.
having the original corner board on the house is really, that would be, I think, go a long way to maintaining the integrity of the original volume. So I would appreciate definitely that you're willing to change that and take a look at how that would work.
Sure.
Okay, any other thoughts? Great. So it sounds like we're in a pretty good spot here with the exception of some modifications to those side entrances. This is the second hearing on this property. You know, I don't know how the commission feels about a motion for at least partial approval on this pending some other modifications to that side entrance. I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just wondering if Heidi is very responsive to the commission's suggestions. And so I wonder if the board would be amenable to just allowing her to submit an elevation for the side drawing. I can circulate it to those who had concerns and make sure that it's, we could approve the project pending the changes in the side elevation. What do you think?
That I'm okay with that. If yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay with me.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. And just sort of one comment before, assuming we get to a motion, is while we were there, I know there was some discussion about modifications of some of the stone walls where some of the existing trees are and those sorts of things. So you know, submitting a hardscape plan when you get to that point, we're gonna, you know, if there's any hardscape revisions, that's something we'll also want to review down the line.
Yeah, I think what you're talking about, Mike, is this
Yeah.
wall here on the site plan. We were just gonna mimic it and make it more of a true half round rather than oval. And still have the half round, still have it stone.
And are you reusing the existing stone that's there to do that?
Yes, that's the goal.
Okay.
That we'd like to reuse it.
And that's the only hardscape revision you're planning here?
I believe so, but Ally and Blake, do you want to confirm that for me?
Yeah, that's all that we've been thinking about for changes to any of the hardscape. And that's, you know, more because of the addition, you know, we need a little bit more space. We need more space in the driveway as it is right now. So being able to, you know, have a little bit more room there will be very helpful, but that would be the only thing we're considering.
And I think if you change your mind as you go forward through the project, you know, you can certainly submit that as a separate application if you do think things will change.
Absolutely.
Heidi, if it sounds like the board is okay with a half round, reusing the same materials. If that's the case, could you just fill out a certificate of non-applicability?
Do you want me to just show that on this site plan and submit it with my revised side elevation?
So
With part of this?
is that preferable, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman?
Yeah, just so we have it.
I do that, and then you have everything together.
Good.
So that's easy to do.
Heidi, I know you don't need a permission from us to take that tree down. It is in its final phase of life, as they say. And if you're going to remove some of its root ball to take that curve and make it more of a half round, that'll damage it further.
Yeah, I believe the Skidmores want to take it down because it is at the end of its lifespan and it's so large if it ever fell, because I think the root ball is compromised as it is.
Yeah.
Because clearly this island is smaller than the caliper. And my understanding is that roots go as far as the caliper. And we're just worried it could fall on either building.
Yeah, they go into the house. So
Yeah.
yeah, you could lose part of the family is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so our goal, we were thinking of taking it down. Blake thought we would reuse the wood in some of the mantles and other details in the house, which I thought was a great idea. And I'd love to see maybe more, if it's appropriate, a smaller, you know, maybe more decorative tree in there. That would be a smaller scale.
Be lovely.
I thought, you know, a dogwood would be nice, or magnolia, something that still gives us that green, but that won't turn into a 35, 40-foot tree.
Okay, would somebody like to make a motion?
Crickets.
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to issue a certificate of appropriateness for 681 Main Street for renovations and additions to the rear of the house based on drawings submitted and revised March 6th, 2021. Applicant to make revisions to the side entrance as discussed to simplify by exposing or recreating the existing rake board and removing pilaster and simplifying where the rake board meets the shed roof. All materials to be wood. Actually, we didn't talk a lot about windows, Heidi.
They're all going to be either the Marvin signature all wood, but with simulated divided light, or the I believe it's the Colby that the board approved. It's also solid wood.
Okay. All windows on the new addition to be wood, simulated divided light, either Marvin or Colby. Shallow pitch roof to be flat lock seam metal roof based on drawing notes. New fence, new white picket fence based on drawings submitted to match what was previously on site. Perimeter of the fence to match left and right side based on drawing, and additional fence to run from the corner of the house to the property line. Hardscape revisions may include revising the stone wall as exists in the driveway where the large tree is, to be revised to half round, reusing existing materials. Did I miss anything? Okay.
All the railing will be wood as well. All of our
Yep.
railing.
All new materials to be wood.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yep.
And that little window, Michael, is going to be 3/3 or 2/3, I think we decided. Is that right, Heidi?
Yeah, I was going to make it smaller.
Yes, so the small window to the right of the new entryway to be revised, to be made smaller. Applicant to submit that as part of revised drawing with side entrance. Is there a second?
You're gonna add something about Heidi getting a sketch of the side door into Andrea?
Yeah, I'll get it to you beginning of next week if that's okay.
So approval would be pending receipt of
Submittal of
revised
drawing.
drawings.
I'll give you the side elevation as well as the site plan showing the half
Great.
round. And it will show the fence as well.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Hans, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
And aye for me. So the motion passes. Thanks for your work on this, and we'll look forward to seeing those revised drawings.
Thank you.
Nice job, Heidi.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Nice
I have
job.
a question for
Beautiful.
Heidi.
Those are beautiful flowers, Carol. I don't know what they're for, but they're gorgeous.
They were for a very large, embarrassing birthday, which we will not be discussing. It was
Well,
to help
happy birthday. They're gorgeous.
help me to get over the shock of turning 100.
Heidi, was that your new puppy that we heard barking?
Yes, that is our new puppy, a three.
Oh, cute. Puppy's name is?
Jackson, he's from Mississippi.
Oh, very cute. We want to see pictures.
We have a
I'll send you
grandson
some
named
pictures
Jackson.
with the revisions.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so the next hearing is for 44 Middle Street. Welcome back. I know this one is to replace a couple of windows in the existing house, and I know that I understand Ben was out there and was able to take a look. So I guess before I asked Ben his thoughts on what he saw, was there anything, Mr. Glynn, you wanted to update us on?
Sure. I mean, does it make sense to do a quick summary of our ask, or is everyone kind of familiar?
Yeah, why don't you just run through it real quick?
Sure. And I might trade a barking puppy for some crying kids here, so I apologize in advance for some background noise.
It's that time of night.
I'll share my screen here quickly. Oh, doesn't look like I can. Well,
You should be able to now. I just made you a co-host.
thanks. Everyone see that?
Yes.
So just the quick summary is we are interested in replacing 4 windows. They're located on the original cape on the sides of the house. They're kind of like twin windows. There's 2 on one side and they're identical on the other side. They're second floor and they're the bedrooms of 2 of our kids. We have multiple concerns. First, primarily is life safety. The windows as they are now do not open or function properly. Most of them don't open. The ones that do don't stay open. Related to that, the window rails they don't have enough depth to support a traditional lock, and there's no locks on them currently. So while they don't open, if they did, we can't lock them as they are at the moment. And then finally, just weatherproofing. Air rushes through and rain does as well in a pretty significant manner. So, Mike, as you mentioned, Ben's been out. He's confirmed beyond reasonable doubt that they are quite old. And Peter, Peter Bickford, who I believe is dialed in, I've probably made him look at them more times than he wishes. So he's also someone that could kind of weigh in on the path forward.
Okay, great, thanks. Ben, can you sort of update us on what you saw when you're out there and kind of walk us through that a little bit?
Sure. I apologize. I don't have a puppy and I don't have kids, but I do have a boiler in the background that's making a lot of noise. So I don't know if you all can hear me okay.
Yep.
Yes.
All right, I apologize. I did go out and I did speak with John. I got a chance to take a closer look, and they do appear to be original to the house. There are some issues, and that is because these are a bedroom, they have to meet minimum standards for egress. And these do not meet those minimum standards for egress. The Glynns would need 5.7 square feet of clear opening in one of those the lower sash, and that doesn't appear to be there. This is kind of a classic example of what we were discussing when we were discussing these windows, and that is code generally gives historic a pass, except when it comes to life safety, and this is one of those situations, unfortunately.
And so the window opening would be appropriate. It's just that because it's 12/8, the bottom sash isn't big enough for that.
Correct.
Use, right.
Correct.
So if it was a different setup, it could be made that way. It just obviously wouldn't be the same window. Yeah.
Yeah. So you need a minimum height of 24 inches, and you don't get that in that lower sash. And then that 24 inches, in terms of the width, it would need to be 34 inches wide. And now this is clear, a clear opening. So you gotta have that without any obstruction.
Thanks, Ben. And is Peter Bickford on? And if he is, if you are on, Peter, would you like to address this?
Yes, I am on. And I believe Wes Fawcett, my partner, is on too. But yeah, what Ben is seeing is that's the existing condition there on the window. Does not meet egress. It, it's a nice old window, but unfortunately, it doesn't open easily. It doesn't lock easily. It's leaking air. And, my opinion that it's an issue as far as the egress and safety is concerned.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks, Peter. Well, I certainly share your concern. And while obviously our goal is to repair rather than replace, but when it comes to life safety scenario in a bedroom, it's a more difficult argument to make. And I don't know, I mean, are these windows, is this window, these sashes worth sort of trying to reuse elsewhere? And I don't know whether Peter or others have projects in other places where if we were to kind of approve these for replacement, if these could be used somewhere else, or the glass to be used elsewhere. I'd hate to throw these in a dumpster.
Is that a question for me, Peter?
Yeah, just as a, could,
absolutely.
Just to feel a little better about it.
Yeah.
I am more than happy to keep them at our house.
Yeah.
And
if
make it clear that they're part of the original structure.
Right, and try to remove them non-destructively.
They certainly could be used in another situation. The glass, I would never throw glass like that away. It's classic, wavy glass. So if these windows were to be replaced, I would save the sash intact. Hopefully to use those sash in another situation. And at worst, I would carefully take the glass out. And I have a barn full of old wavy sash, and I would add these to my collection to be used hopefully somewhere in Hingham.
Right. Well, so I guess the question then next, my question would be, if we're considering a replacement, what would the light pattern be on the replacement? Is that 6/6 or something else?
I mean, I would take your guidance on that. I mean, I think just by the dynamic of the egress, which we're trying to solve for, 6/6 makes the most sense, but I obviously would defer to Ben or Peter to kind of guide that decision.
I'll take a shot at it, Ben, if you want me to.
Yes, please.
I would think because the 6/6, I don't think would meet egress, although it would probably be a lot safer. We could explore the possibility of a casement window to authenticate a 6/6, but would, I think, give the proper egress to that opening. It'd have to be a custom window, but from the outside, it would certainly appear to be a 6/6.
So Peter, and the commission, what if we just swapped the light pattern?
interesting.
And it as the light pattern to what?
8/12.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah, again, a custom window, you could, dictate the layout and the size of the lights of glass to anything that the commission would want.
I'm just wondering in a double hung, Peter, would the 8/12 meet the egress standards?
I'm not sure. I would have to run that by the opening size, 8/12.
All right, would that 12
I'm
be
not
able
sure.
to?
I'm not sure.
Can we ask for a follow-up with a proposed window design?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not sure that 8/12 would clear the
Yeah.
sash enough to create the egress you needed. But I thought you don't think a 6/6 would? I thought a 6/6 would create enough room.
6/6 seems better because 8/12, just as I'm looking at it, would just create the same opening.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
But I don't know how much of a rush folks are in, but having a chance to go and think about it, not in a meeting, might be helpful.
That
Well,
works for us.
Hey,
or
could I just ask, Wes, are you on the line? No, I don't think he is. He had talked with some of the window manufacturers and had some statistics, but I don't think a 6/6 will meet the egress opening. I think we might have to go to a casement, but we could certainly get back to you if you're amenable to this with some sizes that would meet egress.
Great.
Or I know there are provisions in the state building code that address this, and we could certainly come close.
well, I think,
So yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking like, could we approve a 6/6 and then if it changes and you can't get what you need out of a 6/6, then we look at it again. Or you come back again. I'm just trying to see how we can.
So we could
move
approve
forward
a
with
6/6, and if it's doable, we proceed, and if it's not, they come back.
as an option, or you
Yeah.
could come back. I mean, I'm just trying to think of ways we can sort
Move
of get
you
you moving
along.
along here.
Hello.
Mr. Chairman.
Hi, everyone. This is Wes.
Hey, Wes.
Hi, Wes.
I'm embarrassed to say I couldn't figure out how to unmute myself.
Oh, no, don't be embarrassed.
Sounds like you did. Great.
I've been
hitting
trying that for
pound
10
instead of
years.
star, and I was just pounding through every number, and then I finally hit stars. So I apologize for that.
Wes, you've talked to
I talked to
window
Richard Magna at Hingham Lumber.
Yeah.
The 8/6 and the 6/8 is going to give us the same opening regardless of which way we hinge it, whether it slides up or down. The
And
6/6 is going to give us more height because we're going to divide that evenly.
But the 6/6 West does not give us the state code for the egress, does it?
It does not, but it gets us closer.
Yeah. That's what.
And I
that was
can
my-
provide you with the information for the square footage and the clear opening on that, if that helps.
So, Mr. Chairman, let me ask them what the alternative that Peter's proposing is the casement. And that would do it, Peter?
I believe that would do it.
I mean, there has to be a window that'll meet code, so if that's the way he can do it, and it'll appear to be much the same. How does the board feel about that?
What I have a question for Wes and Peter. Were you guys thinking that you would have the casement grills, the muttons, duplicate a double hung?
Yes,
Yeah,
So for the,
Marvin or Anderson window will do that.
so what that means,
In
just
other
for the
words,
board members, so that you understand, where the top sash and the bottom sash meet on a double hung, that's called the check rail, and that's usually a little bit beefier than the,
Yeah,
than the. So
exactly.
what they're doing now with casement windows is duplicating that check rail look. So you can make it look like a double hung. You know, it's still not two sash, it's one sash. But you don't have that difference in plane. You do see what you think is a check rail.
I think I see it in the second row on the screen share. It looks like casement windows. Go to the right more. There looks like there's a 4/1.
yes.
Down there. That looks like a casement that's made to look like a double hung. Actually.
Well, I think, you know, given that there's some uncertainty about what this window will be, you know, maybe it makes most sense to get a drawing of it. It sounds like the commission is amenable to these windows being replaced.
And I thought I heard Mr. Glynn say that another round wouldn't be too onerous.
Yeah, we're happy to work with the commission on fund.
I mean, unless the commission is, you know, if the commission is okay with these being submitted and without a hearing, and, you know, that determination is made without a hearing, then that's another option too. But, you know, I hate to keep having you come back, but, you know, we also want to make sure we get this right.
It's not, if it's not time sensitive, I think it would be useful for the commission to see the product that is presented for future. Also, I'd like to bring up something in my research for the whole window project we've been working on. One of the things some of these historic towns are suggesting is that these windows stay with the home in the attic. Of course, there's no way to prevent the next owner or whoever to throw them away down the line. So I just want to see how the commission feels about either keeping these windows with them with the home and labeling them as such, or, you know, putting them in the hands of Peter, who has an enormous stash of them somewhere on his property, and I'm sure would keep them in good safety.
I mean, I would think it personally is in either spot. I think they'll be in a safe place, and I would almost leave that to the homeowner to determine, unless the commission feels strongly that it should stay with the house. But it seems like in either scenario, they're not gonna be thrown in a dumpster.
Yeah, I mean, we have old beams from the house originally stored in the basement. We're happy to store windows, and, you know, we're currently seeking an old door from Peter's stash anyways to replace one that's missing internally here. So whatever works.
Catherine, I think that's a great idea. As long as there's a label or something, some kind of instruction on that window, if it's going to the cellar or the attic, to please call the HDC.
Yeah.
If this window's going to be thrown out or sold or whatever, just so it doesn't sit there. Somebody knows that it's valuable, and it is.
Okay, well, it sounds like, you know, we'll want to take another look at this with the windows that are being proposed to be put in place here. But, you know, it sounds like the commission is on board with, you know, being able to replace these that get you a better egress scenario for those bedrooms.
And I imagine we could let Peter and the homeowner think about even modifying the opening if that's an option. But we don't need to design it in the meeting. Yeah.
Yep. Unfortunately, the roof, there's a shed roof below it that doesn't allow us to lower the opening at all. So we're kind of locked in our height. We did visit that, but we didn't have any adjustment in height.
Okay, well, so does that work for you, Mr. Glynn?
Yes.
Okay,
Could I say one more thing before you guys
sure. Good.
finalize this? You know, the Glynns didn't come about this decision easily, but the beautiful little cape there on Middle Street, they're committed to saving all the front windows. They're very sensitive about that issue. They have small children who are going to live in those upstairs bedrooms, and that's kind of what drives this. Otherwise, they would have just kept the windows. But all the windows in front of the house are going to stay, the original windows. And I know this is a sensitive issue for your board. I'm glad to hear you guys, you know, just kind of work with the people. I think it's a great, great progression to dealing with what you have to deal with. So I'm impressed with the meeting tonight.
Thank you, Peter.
Great.
Thanks, Peter.
Appreciate that, Peter. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
see you next time.
So we're going to get back to you guys with some window layouts and things like that, and see how we can solve this issue.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And Mr. Glynn and Peter, I'll get back to you and Wes with, I'm not sure what the date of our next meeting for this particular project will be, but I will get back to you and let you know that, so that you know when you need to submit the stuff.
Great.
Okay,
Thanks.
that's great. Thanks, Andrea.
Have a good night.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
everyone,
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Nice
Peter.
talking
Good
with
night,
you.
Wes.
Okay,
Thank you.
bye.
Okay, the next hearing is 37 Fearing Road, which is a continuation from last time on an addition to the rear of the house. I think where we last left it, I understand, was sort of some general, acceptance of the rear addition, but the question remained sort of the rear entryway and expression of that rear entryway and potential simplification of that, essentially based on its sort of formality compared to front entrance, which is really sort of pretty quiet and recessed into the front of the house. So we've got some revised drawings here that reflect that. So I'll open it up to Brad or Daniel to sort of walk us through what you got.
All right, so Brad here. Thanks for the intro there. Very helpful to explain what we've changed. Let me just share my screen here. It says disabled by the host.
I think Julia will.
Yes, I'm
Take
making you a
care.
co-host right now. You should be able to.
All right. Can everyone see that okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so we've really worked to decrease the massing of this entryway and create a little less formality from the previous submission. So taking a look at that hip roof from the previous submission, it did have that kind of massive nature to it. And so I really dialed that back, created more of a hip roof that's more proportionate with the existing bay window. And that's supported, well, not supported, it has decorative Italian 8 brackets. The door sequence and window itself are a little less formal as well. So I removed the side lights. So we'll have a single door and an awning window beside it. The awning window is more proportionate with the middle connection. And with that middle connection, we've also raised that middle wall to align with the typical cornice throughout. So now we have a more continuation of the existing entablature, which before was a little bit too divided from the addition. So with this option, we feel as though that it still is reading as an addition, but it also works out with the roof lines, the gutter lines, and the drainage concerns, so that we do have something that's going to hold up and not create a difficult drainage scenario beside the building. And that's really at this rear corner of the existing building, where it has a large entablature E-return that continues to the back of the building. And I think this view will be a little bit easier to explain. So there's a condition where the addition meets the building, and that's really been taken into careful consideration, so that the addition is set back enough to read as an addition, but it's also taking into consideration the existing trim and aligning existing wall heights. Other details that we talked about last time were continuing the corbels on the rakes and on the cornices. So the corbel design that we're proposing matches the existing corbels, which are solid wood cut. There's kind of a simplicity there. There's really no other engravings or anything like that on these corbels. So I've set this up to really match the same proportions of the front rake. And that kind of ties in with the existing architectural elements, so that we kind of have more cohesiveness, as opposed to the previous submission, which didn't have these corbels, and I felt as though it read as kind of a disconnected without the corbels as well. Other than that, the addition, it's really not taking too much from the existing building. It doesn't stick out from this existing right elevation. And it only sticks out 30 inches. And it's really not an intrusive nature to the right side of this elevation. From there, I'll let the board take it for comment.
Okay. Great, thanks, Brad. I appreciate the work you've done here. I think you really responded well to the comments and concerns from the commission from last time. So I think you've come up with a pretty good solution here. And in my mind, this is an appropriate solution to what you're proposing.
Thank you.
Any thoughts from the commission members?
It seems like a very responsive resubmission. I love the new corbels. They do tie it in more. It's hard to see how to make it better. I'm very pleased that they're separate from the garage still, just as not that was being, something different was being proposed. It seems like an appropriate proposal.
Thank you.
I think it adapts to the original house very, very well. It really does. It looks all part of it. It looks like it's always been there.
Thank you. It's tough to find that divide of respecting the, what was original, and also trying to kind of differentiate. So I feel like this design really takes into account all the concerns of the last meeting.
I agree. I think that strangely changing just the gutter line and the makes a big difference, and it really ties it well together. And the corbels and the front door is much softer, more understated, and lets the main body of the house sing. So I think it's all looking really appropriate, and I appreciate all the work you've gone, all these different renditions you've done for us over the last month. So we know this house very well, and it's fun to see all the renditions. Thanks for your hard work.
Thank you.
You must see this house in your dreams, but I think you've done a wonderful job of minimizing the back entrance and not distracting from the front. And yet it looks perfectly appropriate and giving you the space that the homeowner wants, but in a way that respects where we started. I think it's a wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
Hans, looks like you had a question. But you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think this is a significant improvement over what was submitted last time. Question for the commission. So when I look at this, it looks like the addition was all built at the same time for me. And I'm wondering if those corbels and you know, some minor differentiation for this you know, for this addition might make it look a little bit more differentiated. You know, to me, it looks like it was all built at once. Minor issue, but question I have, I don't know if anybody else wants to chime in on that.
I mean, I think, you know, given the scale and sort of the breakdown and sort of the big house, little house aspect to it, you know, I hear you. I personally don't think the brackets are inappropriate. I think the fact that those details are tying it to the existing kind of creates that connection between the two, but yet its mass and scale and the fact that it's sort of brought down a little bit creates that separation between existing and new. I don't know what others think about that.
I think the brackets add to the harmony of it, honestly. We did see it without the brackets, and there's something really distinct about that main body of the house, those corbels, that I think it's sort of, it works really well.
And where the two bathrooms are one over the other and they're set back in, I think that gives a nice break between the two pieces.
Yeah.
It does look like an addition still, but pleasing.
Right, and you can sort of see where old meets new, and
Yeah.
I do like the corbels. I think it's better.
What about the roof trim?
I'm sorry, the roof trim?
Yeah.
What, the gate, you mean the rake board?
Yeah, it's you know, just kind of carrying that Italianate all the way to the back with the addition. You know.
Yeah, so I did continue corbels to the back in a similar spacing as to the side, but the back of the building, so we are meeting at this same cornice or gutter line, so all the soffits will align with the existing. So we are taking into consideration that alignment of the rear. I did look at, you know, lowering the roof, further differentiating it, but it doesn't, there's such a disconnect when you have this large entablature that I felt it was more appropriate to have this align because it still does read as an addition, at least in my opinion.
I agree.
Mr. Clark, it looks like you had a question.
I had a comment. One with regard to the brackets is that looking at what's on the existing building and how this frames, most of those corbels can actually be repurposed from the existing building. So that was our intent, was to salvage and reuse a lot of the existing. And Mr. Aburn's comment was he didn't know how he could make it better. I think one thing that we did take into consideration is there's 3 windows that are going to be taken out. 2 will be repurposed for the back, and we'll save the last one in the rear in case anything ever gives us an opportunity to use it. So we did take that into consideration.
So it's even a little better.
And since we last met, we are replacing all the siding and repairing some of the rotted trim of the existing building. So we're hoping that would kind of help our case here.
Well, and so with the main body of the house, though, that's remaining as is, or you?
New cedar clapboards, because most of them are rotted and warped, and colors to match existing.
Okay.
That really came about from the homeowners. From my standpoint, you know, we bought the house January 25th. We were trying to move quickly to try to be able to do this project. You know, being in the house for the last month and working on the existing building, we really were able to understand what the existing conditions were more. And we felt that, you know, now is the appropriate time to do it. So you have a cohesive siding at the end of the day.
Do we think the siding is possibly original to the home?
It's really tough to tell, but based on the condition that it's in now, it would be more reasonable to replace all of it because so much of it is cracked and broken, and kind of displacing away from the building.
Based on some of the pieces that are coming off and the nails that are used in there, I would be hard pressed to believe that it's original to the building.
And so the brackets and sort of the overhang trim, that stuff is staying. It's just the siding that you're proposing to
Yes.
be replaced.
Yes. So there are conditions such as this aluminum gutter that will be fixed. Can you still see this image photo? So the rake board has been trimmed back at some point and this aluminum gutter has been placed on. So what we're proposing is, in order to match the addition, to replace all of this with historic wood gutters. The bottom portion of these rakes will be repaired so that it can miter into that historic miter into the gutter. And those types of details will kind of be brought back to life because they've kind of been lost over time. There's been some selective repair that hasn't been the best decision. So what we're proposing is to make some of these repairs to match with the addition. Which we're proposing is to be as historically accurate as we can propose here.
And I imagine those dormers were probably not original to the house.
I remember a house on Main Street and the board said no dormers.
Mm-hmm.
So those are, I'm not sure what, I think they were done in the 80s, but that's from the previous homeowner.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion.
Okay.
Are we ready for that? I'd like to make a motion for 37 Faring Road to construct a 2-story addition to the right rear side of the house adjacent to the existing driveway. The addition will include an enlarged kitchen with a mudroom side entry off the existing driveway and a second floor master bedroom directly above the kitchen. The modifications will be according to drawings dated March 3, 2021. And I don't believe there are any other modifications to the motion or to the application.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
Okay, Hans, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
That's an aye for me as well, so the motion passes. Thanks for your hard work on this. Very nice project. Looking forward to seeing it.
Great, thank you very much.
Stop by anytime.
Great.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, so the next hearing is for 357 Main Street to add an 11 by 18 turnaround in the front yard. So I think we've got the application here in front of us. I'm not sure who's representing the applicant tonight.
Hi, I'm Trisha Van Buskirk. I'm the landscape architect.
Hi, Tricia.
Hi, everybody. Do I put it up on my screen or do you?
You can, and Julia will give you access to do that.
Okay.
You should be all set to go ahead and share your screen. Yeah.
There we go. So we're seeking approval to put in a driveway turnaround in the front yard at 357 Main Street. The purpose is obviously that we don't want to be backing out on Main Street. It's really tight around the corner there. The existing front walkway would stay. It's a brick walkway. And the new materials in the turnaround are gravel with a cobble border. And 11 by 18. And there's some new planting in the front. I'm not sure if you're concerned with that, but happy to take your comments.
Okay, now is there a fence here that this will remove? I'm just looking at the sort of the Google Maps, but it's an old, looks like it's an old image, so I don't know if that fence is actually there or not.
No, it's not there.
Okay. Okay. Any questions or comments from the commission?
Well, I think the safety factor, not backing out into Main Street, is a pretty convincing one to me.
Especially on that corner.
Right. Even for those of us who drive on Main Street, never mind back out onto it.
Yeah.
Carol, looks like you had your hand up.
I have to say hi to Patricia first. We haven't seen each other in years.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you too. What's on either side of this property? I can't picture this house. I haven't gone down there yet, but are there homes right there on either side?
I'm not, what is right across the street? Is Kelsey or Chris on?
The Veteran Memorial Hall.
That's it. I think so. It's a big hall. It's not a church, but I wasn't really sure what it was.
Most across from the 8 Pond Street project.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
As a point of reference.
Thank you.
Oh, that's the GAR hall.
Right. Yes.
And then Carol, we also heard the immediate neighbors through LDA a couple of meetings ago. They're the neighbors immediately to the right.
Not Minicus.
No, Decemberals. They're doing the carriage house.
Oh, right. Okay, now I know where we are. Sorry. You don't have any pictures of this house to show us. Put on the screen.
Trisha, the Zillow listing's still up if you want to pull that up.
Oh yeah, okay. I will do that. 1 second.
It really is a square house.
It really is.
It is.
It really is.
Nice small lot tucked right in there next to 2 other homes.
That's where the phrase square deal. Both sides the same.
I'm just saying to think, is it going to bother the neighbors in any way? But I can't tell where they are or.
So right here.
We can't, it's still showing the plan.
It is?
Yeah.
I have a great picture of the house on my screen. Hold on, let me see. I'll just take the plan down. Oh, I see what's happened. Is it? I'm not sure how to handle that. One second. Here we go.
Yeah, we can see that.
Okay.
Oh, we were just there.
Yep.
There's no one next to, okay.
So that driveway that you see on the left, that's the Kirks, and they're in the process of doing a bunch of work, and they're actually moving that driveway as well, I believe.
2-car in the back. That's a shame to have to lose your front yard space there, but I don't see.
I know, but we've almost had some people just honk at us. It's like terrible.
Oh, I can't imagine. Yeah.
Once a week, because the hardest thing is that tree actually blocks your view if you're backing up. So when you either have to, yep.
Yeah, the big tree.
So you either need to kind of stop partly down the driveway and then make sure no cars are coming, or pull up onto the sidewalk and look, which also makes it hard to see anybody walking.
Really dangerous.
And I've never even attempted to try and pull out to go left. If I need to go towards town, I go the other way and then turn because of,
around. Yeah. Yeah, see the predicament. This is very helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the big maple out front, is that on your land?
It is.
Looks like it is. Too bad that doesn't drop over, but. Okay, now I get it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of yard, given the size of the lot, but to be able to pull out and be head first makes. We've been in the house about 6 months now, and I'd say once a week we have a relatively somewhat close encounter.
Yeah, and maybe by planting around it or something, it won't stand out too much.
No, I can't imagine backing out from there.
All of this.
You're welcome to try if you would like.
No.
Take your word for it.
Anything in this writing that we need to know or that affects it at all?
That's for the contractor, just contractor notes. It's, as I said, it's built of gravel with, yeah, there you go, with cobblestone edging.
Oh, just description. Okay.
Just to keep it, the gravel nice and neat. So there'll be a cobble edge.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think given the safety concern, this seems like an appropriate application.
Yeah.
This appears to be a must-have. I try to cross the street there, and I only do it early in the morning when I know there's not a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion if that's okay.
Go for it.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion for a certificate of appropriateness for 357 Main Street, adding an 18-foot by 11-foot turnaround in the front yard. Will be jumbo cobble border with gravel. As per the site plan submitted and attached, submitted on 2/15/2021.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yep.
Second. Okay, Hans, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine, how do you vote?
Aye.
Justin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Carol, how do you vote?
Aye.
And that's an aye for me. The motion passes. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see the last hearing. See if we can stop the screen share on that one.
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, so the last hearing tonight is for 389 Main Street to construct a 2-story accessory building, pool house garage. I know we've got some drawings here, and there could be some revisions to the application based on the description there. But why don't you walk us through the project? We've got the drawings. If you're able to share your screen and walk us through the drawings, that's would also be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks everybody for your time. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Great. This is Tim Wagner. Al Carney is not able to join tonight. So it's me as the homeowner, but also Sean Papich as well, who's the landscape architect. And you guys may recognize the property for those of you that have been on the committee for a while. I know, Hans, I remember you were at our location a couple years back, and we had an approval on a pretty good size addition, which we decided to wait on. And so just to kind of give you guys a little bit of background on this as well. We originally, Andrea, we actually sent you something in January that was basically that 2-story addition. And working very closely with Sean and Al, we just thought that two-story addition or 2-story self house, like the actual pool house, didn't fit the property, to be honest.
Okay.
And so we decided not to go with the new structure, and instead just try to find space in the existing structure where it minimizes any impact to the historic value. And so as we walk through the application that we submitted in February, it should look more like a smaller version of what was previously approved. And the goal really is to try to, like I said, find some space here and there, and I'll kind of go through it page by page. And then also we'll talk about the site plan as well. And that's where Sean can jump in and add color from there. So with that, I'm a WebEx guy. So if you wouldn't mind, so Andrea, do you have to give me the ball when it comes to sharing the document?
Actually, yeah, Julia will do that.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
great.
made you a co, so you have permission now to screen share.
Okay, great. So is there a certain, I'm sorry to even ask, I'm in technology, which is embarrassing. So where do I share from?
Down on the bottom, you can see screen share. It's green.
Bottom middle.
The big green icon that
Yeah.
says screen share? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Don't let anybody on my team know that this is happening. So, all right. So, all right.
Your secret is being
Recorded on YouTube.
All right, here we go. Yeah, I'll it should pop up here in a moment. Is it up now?
Yep.
All right, great. Now the documents you're holding hopefully are a better rendering of this, because obviously it's a little hard to see here in the PDF. If it's okay, I'm going to go to the last slide, guys, the last page. And the reason I'm doing that is to kind of give you an idea for those of you that were involved in the originally approved addition, is that this is what we were looking at originally, which was the primary house here at 389 Main Street faces Main Street itself. We were actually abutted by 2 other roads. One is Thompson, and the other is Aberdeen. The actual addition that was previously approved faced Aberdeen. And it was, like I said, it was good size, but we decided to hold for a lot of reasons, including I was in the middle of maybe relocating. And now with COVID, that's not going to happen, which is good. So that said, if it works for you guys, I'll go back to the front now and kind of walk you through what we're looking at as far as the changes to the property itself. And then at the end, if it makes sense, we'll go through the site plan and answer any questions you may have there as well. So I'll start maybe with, if you guys don't mind, I'll start with this one, which is the house itself. So what we're looking at doing, if you know our property on the side, there's actually a little office or like an annex building. And that annex building is looking at adding an additional level on that, which would be another bedroom. And then we're looking at adding a 3rd floor dormer that faces away from Main Street. So the only real area that would be visible would be a minor visibility from Aberdeen. And then we're also looking at adding a 2nd story to the garage as well, which would be an office area. So the real 3 primary changes to the property are adding a 2nd story to that office building. And actually, if I'll go back to the picture here, guys, this is the existing structure here. And so what we're looking at doing is adding a 2nd level to that, which would be a bedroom. And then we're looking at dormering the garage area to get space above that for an office. Everything I do, I work from home. So I need to find a dedicated space for that. And then dormering the 3rd level of the primary house off the back, which is not visible obviously from Main Street, with really no changes to the front of the house itself. So I know I moved through it quickly, and then Andrea, you can kind of direct me in how you want me to kind of go page by page here. But those are the key changes from a structural perspective.
Yeah, I think if you want to go to the plans and
Okay.
You can talk us through that. So.
Sure. So this is the basement level, and the only reason why this is important is that we are looking at changing where the bulkhead is from the back of the house where it has been to the side of the house over here. And the reason being is that we're actually trying to relocate staircases from the second to the first floor and from the first floor to the basement. The existing staircases we have, you really can't get much up them. So we've actually had to remove windows on the second floor to get stuff into our house, believe it or not, when we moved in, because they're so tight. And the goal is to have them maintained, but just to add a net new set of stairs from the second to the first and from the first to the basement. So that new bulkhead would be next to the existing annex over here. So that's the really only change to the basement level. When you go to the first floor, you'll see some changes that we're making here. That's the staircase that we're adding. The other thing that's important to note is if you look here, this is an existing covered porch area that was put in the 2000 timeframe. We're looking at actually extending that covered porch area all the way around the inside of that L. And the reason being is that the roof line will actually connect at that point in time. And this space all in here is all basically dead space and unusable. So we really just want to extend that porch over and have kind of a wraparound porch. And like I said, this is on the back side of the property and not highly visible.
May I say something right there?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm just curious as can be, what is a white share room? I've never heard that.
You know, the only reason I have that there is because Sean Pappage used to have a band called the White Chair Room. So
that's exactly right. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Exactly
I had to have that little toss
the
out.
first band. Thank you.
Getting the band back together.
Getting the band back together. Exactly.
And I would like to say one thing, because you've heard it a couple times now. Every inch of this property is visible from a public right of way. Is that correct?
Because it's got three separate roads that are butts. It is basically that's fair. Yep. I think the way, if you guys look at the property itself, I've got a picture I can show you. We actually planted arborvitaes all the way around the backyard. And we spent a good amount of time and energy on that. And I'm the one out there in the snowfall, like knocking all the snow off. But my point is, about 6 foot or higher all the way around is really hard to see into the property. That was because we wanted some privacy for the kiddos. But yes, that is a good point. All right, so the white chair room is just, to be honest with you, my wife's favorite room. It's a 3-season room. That's why it's called that. It's her room. So I'll make sure I tell her that you asked that question. She'll get a kick out of that. All right, that's really, I mean, not much of a change here on the first floor level other than what I just discussed. The second floor level is really where you see some changes. So we're actually taking out a bedroom that was previously here, and now we're turning that into a bath. And that's why this bedroom is required above the existing white chair room, if you want to call it that. And this is where the new staircase comes down. Now you can see the front of the house remains unchanged. This is the existing bedroom. This is the nice, really gorgeous staircase that comes down, and the existing bedroom that's there, which all will go unchanged. So, and then if you look over here to the office area, this is where we would have a side entrance. They would, if you know our driveway, it's off of Thompson. It's a pretty good area here of hardscape. And then it goes all the way to the back. And so we wanted to have the entrance all the way here to the back and come up and have the office space available there. Any questions on the second floor plan?
Yes, could you outline for us the original house? Is it the main, it's a rectangle basically?
Yeah, the original house is right, it's basically starting right here. I mean, you can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
So right here, all the way here, and then straight across down to here and back. This annex right here, the white chair room, if you will, was built in the 1960s.
Okay.
And so that was not, go ahead, I'm sorry.
What about the addition on the bottom that goes out?
There was an addition after the house was built. I think it was in like the 1920s that actually extended it to about like right here. And then in 2000, they put on this other piece here, this entire structure here. And then I think in the 2012 range, they actually built a garage. And so this garage is not that old. I think it's less than 10 years old at this point. And so, they had to build it a certain way where they weren't able to attach it based on historic guidelines. So that will be maintained, obviously. So we go back to the original point. The original house is really this initial structure that's here. And then there's been small additions and then a very large addition here. And then the garage came in like 2012.
And Andrew, was that all done after the historic district was established?
Good.
I'm sorry. Yeah, well, I do remember that this edition, the end edition, as Tim said, it was done in 2000 something. And then also that, the garage.
And
So-
how old is the historic district here?
Pardon me?
How old is the historic district? When did it start?
80s?
Okay, so this was all done after it was historic.
Yeah, but not the section that Tim pointed out that's immediately adjacent to the original volume.
Right.
And just one thing to mention about the additions that have been put in place, they kept the pine floors and the cut nails. They really spent a lot of time and energy to maintain, like when you walk from the old part of the house to the new part, the only thing you see is older wood. It is basically the exact same thing. And like even on the second floor of our house, it's gorgeous. And so that would be the same type of thing we would want here, is that we want the office to look very much the same way. And the same thing for any of the changes that we make here. The entire house is maintained with pine. Now with 4 kids and a couple dogs, like pine's not the best, but it is what it is and it's gorgeous. So, all right. Any other questions on the second floor plan? All right, moving on to the third floor. So the third floor, what we're looking at doing is leveraging the existing staircase up to the third floor and basically just finding some space that faces the rear part opposite of main and dormering it out and adding a bath as well. The primary reason for this, I mean, we have 4 kids and we really do need 5 bedrooms. And today we have 4. But really, this is also to get space for a working area for kids working from remote. Because at one point we had 4 kids and myself working remotely from home. You can only imagine how much fun that was. So that being the case, we wanted to get the additional space upstairs as an extra bedroom, but also workspace for the kiddos. And the only change really is this general area here, which is the dormer piece that would go in, one facing the rear and one small area facing Thompson. No, sorry, facing Aberdeen.
And right now it's just an attic?
It's a walk-up attic, and it's pretty good size. And so, but the challenge is because of the roof line, you basically, you wouldn't even be able to put a full door in next to this chimney. One thing it does have is a widow's walk ladder, and we would like to maintain that. So it's existing there. We'd like to restore it. We're not asking to put up a widow's walk, just so we're clear, but I would probably keep the ladder because I think that was pretty cool. So that would probably stay and be restored. That's the third floor plan. This will give you a better idea of the renderings, right? So this rendering here is from Thompson. If you look at the house, if you know our house, we do a lot of Christmas lights and all that. So this is the side entrance. And then here is the existing garage. What you see here is the existing level of the garage itself. And then what we're looking to do is gain additional space, as I said earlier, for the office. And then here is the side entrance. We would make this side entrance replicate pretty much exactly how this one looks on the side of the house over here, and have the pillars, et cetera, and the roof line. And I know if Al were here, he would say all these great things about how he's kept the roof line a certain way based on historic requirements. Unfortunately, I am not educated at that level. So if you have questions, I can write them down and make sure Al answers them. But my level of understanding of that is probably minimal.
And you're connecting the 2 buildings with an overhang roof of some kind?
That's existing today. And so this piece here is already there. And we're not planning to make any change to that whatsoever. I mean, we would love to have the ability to connect it as a breezeway, but there's no change requested there at all. It would just be the existing structure.
Did that get approved the last go around?
It did. Actually, they really wanted it connected. And after a number of different, and I only know this because the guy who I bought the house from told me, because I asked him like, hey, why is it? And he was like, I'm telling you, like, this took a long time to get approved. But they had this connection piece here between the 2. Is that not normal?
You know why? Once they're connected with a roof, it becomes an addition very quickly.
Oh, okay.
Down, yeah. Then they get a floor, and then they get walls, and then they get glass windows, and then they're.
Plus, it's not especially historic looking.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we have no intention of making any changes to that area. All we really want to do is just get the space above the garage. And then here's the rendering from Aberdeen. And so the goal here, you see that there's a change in the doors that are here. The door that's there is like a 30-inch door. Couldn't even really get our refrigerator through it. And so we wanted to change it out in the same style that's approved. I know there's like 3 different door styles that are approved for historic. We would follow that guideline and make sure we do that. We'd have to like very carefully shorten up these windows because this roof line, this is the new roof line, by the way. The existing roof line is right here. And so today there is no roof here and there is no cover and there's no porch here. So what we're looking to do is basically connecting the roof lines all the way around and make this kind of a wraparound porch. So they'd have to shorten these windows a little bit, and that's about it. But again, you can see the side of the, I don't even know what to call that, but the overhang. And then here is the actual, the addition. And then here's what it would look like from Aberdeen as far as the new dormer coming off the 3rd floor. And so most of it is facing back, but this piece, the small piece here is facing, which would be mostly blocked by this roof line, but this does face Aberdeen. So here's the front view. And so no changes, as I mentioned earlier, to the primary residence, the original piece. This is the existing structure that is there today. And if I had the plans from the original one, you would actually see a much larger structure that was previously approved. It would have come out farther here and actually came in a little higher. But this is a much smaller version, just basically building out what is existingly there. And then this is, I'm sorry.
On the elevation there that we were just looking at, and I know there's like a 1'6" overhang there. Is that because essentially you want to make that 2nd floor space bigger and you're just utilizing the size of the white chair room as it exists?
It's a really good question. I actually had asked Al that if we're going to dig this area out over here anyways for the new bulkhead, why couldn't we just extend this out and actually make this not have an overhang? I'm not a big fan of the overhang, to be honest. The overhang is there to make this roof line work. I mean, it's nice to make the bedroom bigger, but if you move this in, it kind of, it does mess with the roof line. So what he was basically telling me is like, yes, it makes the bedroom a little bit bigger, but it really had to be there to make the roof line work. My preference would be, and it'll cost a little bit more to do this, but if they're going to dig this part out anyways, why not just move this over and have this map so that there's no weird overhang here? So if there's a concern there, I would agree with you that I'd rather not have that.
And that's sort of what was the approach for the original previously approved. It went sort of straight down.
Actually, the original previously approved would have removed this entire existing annex. I'm just going to shoot down to the bottom so you can see it, but see how much bigger it is. It came out another 10 feet. And then you can see that it was actually much deeper as well. And so we were actually going to remove that original piece. And so this would have been gone, but here we're actually leveraging the existing structure.
Yep.
Hey, Tim, it's Hans. I think what Al was trying to do is just preserve that white room to not, take that whole wall down.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you want to keep, so what you're asking is, could we move the room above it in to map to the existing white chair room wall?
Well, I just think Al was trying to preserve that wall there.
Okay, got it.
The existing wall. I think that's what he was working with.
Okay.
That would be my guess. I'm not sure, but that would be.
I think what he was probably trying to do, Hans, to be honest, is probably save me the cost because he didn't think I was going to dig down and put a new foundation level in there and do that wall over again. Yeah, but Al was probably trying to save me the dollars there.
Which is what would be required. Yep.
Correct. Exactly. But my thought would be is that if we're going to be digging that out to put a new bulkhead anyways, why not? Why not put that new wall in there? If it's not historic, because it's not. It was built in the 60s. Okay. Any more questions on this piece? I'll go down to. Oh, actually, I was into the front.
Actually, can we go back to the white room?
Sure.
Bump out? So I also have questions about that. I guess you call it a garrison kind of bump out on the front of the house. And I'm wondering why also, I understand the roof line of that bump out worked kind of well with the original plans where there was a wraparound porch. It kind of softened and was balanced, but that's I guess, and if Al was here, it would be useful, but I'm wondering why that can't be just a simple gable without the two different opposite gables working there. That's one question I have.
I'll make sure I share that with Al. I think if Al were here, he would tell you that, you know, you guys would have a discussion about which way it could go. And he actually built a model for this, believe it or not, because, you know, the models are so helpful for you guys. So the fact is, we had the model built for February, but I'm glad that we didn't show that one because we changed our mind. But long story short is that the model would help here for sure. And as far as we're concerned, whatever you guys think works best for how it will look and remain the historic value, we're on board. And so I'll make sure Al's aware that that's an area of question.
And what is the date of this house?
I think it's 1832, if memory serves.
So the bulkhead would be inappropriate at the side of the house right there. And if we were starting from scratch with the old house, this group would probably not allow you to put the white chair room so that it covers part of the original old house. It would be asked you to put in the back somewhere. And now you want to double it up and cover like a third of that side of the old house.
I will tell you that this back part of the house that's existing today, for instance, it's all new window. It's almost like that part, I don't know if they rebuilt it at one point, but it is a new window. Like there's new windows all in here. These are the original windows that it's almost like the two here and they're all in the front and the two on the other side. Those are all original, but all of the windows starting with the second set of windows in back are all newer windows. So I'm not sure if they did a remodeling at one point, but they, maybe they did that at the same time that they actually built this little white chair room area. But I understand your point for sure.
Try to keep the original house as visible from all sides as possible, but we realize you have to put additions on. But if I'd been on the commission at that time, I would have begged you to put it off the back and not cover up the side of the house.
No, I would have agreed with you probably at that point as well. It is kind of a weird little annex, to be honest. Okay, so going back to the front. So this will give you an idea. Yeah, go ahead.
This is Hans. Just one more before you leave that other drawing on the west drawing. Sure. Could you ask Al to do a sketch from Aberdeen, looking back into that corner on that third floor? There's like a lot of roof lines and sheds being built off of there in that gable. Can he just kind of just sketch out that angle, what that's going to look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So yeah, I do. So it's almost like if you were at the back corner of our property, looking back at the house, you basically want to see what the corner is going to look like between the gables, but also the new dormer and all that. So get an idea of what it looks like.
If I was standing on Aberdeen in front of your garage and looking back towards that corner, what that's going to look like.
You got it. Yep, we can do that.
And along those same lines, could we ask Al for a existing and proposed elevations? I find looking at the elevations, particularly the west and the east, hard to really, in my own mind, process the before and after.
I agree. I agree, Justin. The sketch, it would be really nice to have the computer generated sketches as built with the comparative elevation right next to it would be really useful.
Is that where the model would be helpful for you guys to see as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, because he's really good at. For you guys, remember there last time he built a really cool model, and so he's got a model built already, and so that may be helpful. But I captured both requests, and so I'll make sure that we can get that for you.
But then the elevations with existing above, proposed below, or what have you, is much easier to look at than what we're looking at now.
I would also love for a site visit. I think this is complex.
Yeah.
We need to be there and see how it fits on the land.
Yeah, we did that last time, and I completely agree with you. It was so much easier to kind of tell the story and have the model there as well. And so
that'd be a great way to see the model.
That'd be fabulous.
Yeah, and so that was super helpful. Hans, I think you'll agree. Last time when we did that, it was like, because we actually marked out where the house would come into the property line, and so you could see how it was going to go, and that was important because it was 15 more feet away from the existing structure Whereas this one, you can kind of get an idea just by looking at the house where it's going to go.
Actually, I think in the package, there's a picture of Hans visiting the property.
That may be true. I think you're right. Yep, there you guys are. Yep. So yeah, I set up a little table and we had little flags and all kinds of stuff set up for you guys. So
that's
blow that up, Tim. Let me just look at that. Who's there?
Oh, I see Ben. Is that Ben?
Yeah.
Who do we have?
There's Andrea off to the right.
Tomas.
Oh, yeah, that's my raincoat.
Yeah.
They're getting the band back together.
There's a bald guy right here. I'm not sure who that is. I think that's me impersonating Al. So all right, but yeah, I remember doing that.
There's Hans. Way left.
Yeah, so I think that would be one of the key actions for sure, guys, is to have a site visit and kind of walk you through it in detail. Hans, this is not going to do it justice, but going back to your request, it's basically taking something like this, but taking it back from a different, like a broader angle so that you can see the entire inside L, not just this rendering. Because here's the third floor rendering, but you're looking for one from an angle so you can see how it'll look across the board. Because you can see how we've kind of wrapped the porch around and where the door will go. And I told Al that I'm not in love with these doors, to be honest with you. So we probably will update that before the next one to make them.
I share the lack of love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, we're actually going to remove these this area. I'll just tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of these doors and probably put windows down here and and get rid of the porch here. So the porch should stop here because that's where the overhang is. The actual roof line will go all the way around the L, but stop here. And we take these doors out and put windows in and get rid of this porch here because I think it doesn't go.
Looks like it used to be a store or something.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like a penny candy store. We don't want that. So although I like Yeti, but going back to it, that's when you see the next rendering, these doors will be gone and this porch will be gone as well. This piece here. All right, I captured that. This is if you were standing in our driveway, like facing Main Street, this would be like the look from the neighbor. So here's the, going up the stairs and all that. If you're wondering why we did this, it's for privacy, but also because I'm going to have a huge whiteboard there. A little bit dirty, but I get it. But obviously, if this configuration isn't what you want to see, that's okay too. We can revisit that. Here's a better look at the office structure from the existing garage. Let's see. That's basically it, guys. The only thing we have left is just to talk about the site plan. Anything more? I mean, I grabbed a couple of the actions from Al. Andrea will work with you on the site visit, and we can do that at your convenience, and we'll make sure we're all masked up and very careful.
Okay, great.
But as far as the site plan, go ahead.
Is there any hardscape proposed as part of these renovations?
Yes. Yeah. So that's where I'm actually going to pass the ball off to an expert because I'm not the expert on any of this. So Sean, why don't I pass it over to you, bud, to kind of talk through the site plan?
Okay, that sounds good. I appreciate it. This is Sean Papich from Sean Papich Landscape Architecture, 222 North Street. And Tim, you did a great job, and I do appreciate the shout out to my first band, the White Chair Room. Not a lot of people knew us. We didn't sell a lot of albums, but we were big in Yugoslavia back in the day. At least I hear one chuckle. So if, are you controlling that still?
You want me to
Tim,
go in a little bit?
Yeah, you can play Vanna if you want and start pointing it out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Essentially what we have as swimming pool is proposed for the furthest corner that we could put it. You can see the building setback coming off of Thompson. And Aberdeen, my mistake. The building setback there, we're kind of nestling the pool into that area, and then also toward the rear there, as you see where the in-pool spa is located. So essentially, we're trying to get it as far over into that corner as we can. Initially, there were thoughts of putting kind of where you see the deep end of the pool. That was going to be a pretty chunky pool house, and I think Tim did a really nice job in rethinking the scale of both the house addition as well as even call the outbuilding decision to not even do the outbuilding, but to just enhance the garage to some degree. So really all we're doing is proposing swimming pool to that edge, as you can see it, a stone surround. there's an existing fire pit at an existing terrace, and that stays as is. That's staying as it is. What we are proposing is to do a stone grill area, kind of outdoor kitchen, right up against the garage area. So right up against the existing terrace, so tucked away there. So the other piece that we were proposing to do is a fence that we have to have. We have to have a 6-foot fence for the pool enclosure by Hingham's code. The state code is 4 feet. Hingham's code is 6, that they supersede the state code. So they're higher, as you guys know. We're intending to do a wood fence with a picket topper. So it's a total of 6 feet, 4.5 feet of solid vertical board fence.
Not black.
We don't know what color we're trying to do right now. You could either go natural and let it age out to silver. You could do white, but that feels like it pops way far too much for us there and sticks out. So that's probably our least favorite. You could put a tone on some sort of tonal stain on the cedar into a gray, or do you go to a green or ask for a black? I'm kind of unsure of what is really allowed anymore, because it feels like it's been we've been kind of all over the board. So we weren't really ready to even think about color right now. We just want to make sure. The big intent is to try to get a pool approved so that we can get on a schedule, because that seems to be the hottest item available, or not even available.
Hey, Sean.
Yes.
I just want to jump in for a quick second. So one of the biggest reasons why we love this house is not only the primary structure, but because of that white picket fence. And you guys know that we spend a lot of time and energy every year decorating it and different seasonal components. And so when we put the arborvitaes up, we really wanted to have that kind of make the fence pop. And so if we do the 6-foot fence to have the pool, just know that we never want to see that, right? I think it would take away from the white picket fence and the historic value of that property. And so what we want to do, and why we position it on the other side of the arborvitaes, is because at the end of the day, the white picket fence against those arborvitaes is gorgeous. And the arborvitaes are now, they're actually, they're staggered. And so the holes are getting smaller and smaller where you can't even really see through anymore. We would want that fence to be on the other side where you can't even see it. And so that would be the goal all the way around the entire property. So when you go by our house, you wouldn't even know we had a 6-foot fence. So just know that that's how we designed it here, is that the white picket fence is the way that, sits historically around that property and will be maintained. But that 6-foot fence, you will only be able to see it from the inside of the property. So I just want to throw that out there. Color-wise, up to you guys. You'll tell us what we can and cannot do. But if we do the fence, I told my wife, I'm like, we both don't want anyone to see it from the outside. We just didn't think it would be that visually pleasing.
Is this your actual property line cut off like that?
Which one? I'm sorry. Over here?
Yeah, it's not a straight line.
Yes.
You go to Jackie.
Yeah, it's quite strange. It's actually a double lot. So I didn't realize it was a double lot until we were closing on the house, but they're 2 separate lots adjoined. So that the original, like this, the lot, or all the houses on Aberdeen and Thompson have small, very small yards. Yeah. And we happen to be lucky to get the double lot on the first part of that street.
Where are your neighbors' houses on those? Is that
sure? Yeah, it's over. It doesn't go wide enough. So this house here sits back quite a bit. So Sean, you know these folks really well, but their house sits back here. This is a yard here. So they're set back pretty good. And then over here, there's an existing 6-foot fence that's already here right now. That's pre-existing. Actually,
Tim, show that actually goes all that distance all the way from Thompson to Aberdeen. The fence runs along the property line
all the way through here.
And then the neighbor, the Finneys have that shed right in the corner. It's shown on the survey. Correct.
So your arborvitae isn't going to cover up the front of the house at all?
No.
No, we were very specific about that. Like, so we planted the arborvitaes to here, and that was it. And so the arborvitaes start here. So basically the corner of the original house is here. The arborvitaes start here and go all the way around right here, and they stop here. And then the arborvitaes go all the way around to here. So, and then there is a fence that goes all the way around. This is a 6-foot fence that's actually between our neighbor now and us as well.
Hey, Hans, go ahead.
Right there.
Hey, Tim and Sean, is there a way to get that 6-foot code protection without having that double fence look up on Main Street? Because I know those arborvitaes have grown quite a bit, but there's also a lot of gap in there still. And I'm wondering, I know what you're trying to achieve there, but I still think you're going to be able to see this fence from Main Street. And it's like a double fence look, you know? So is there a black iron or something that you could do that's more interior to the yard that will bring it up to code without double fencing this?
Can you guys see the picture I've got up?
No, you might have to do a new share, Tim.
I popped it. Okay, let me see if I can do that. I'm sorry. Let's see here.
Yeah, see if you can hit new share.
Oh, new share.
Yeah,
Very
there
cool.
should be one.
Again,
Sure.
I'm so glad I'm not telling anybody that I don't know how to
Oh,
use
look
it.
at that.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
That's awesome.
You did a beautiful job with it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And the sad part is I can't see what I'm showing you now. I'm not sure where it went.
It's
And
a holiday picture and it's lovely.
Yes. All right. Let me see if I can get back to it.
Makes me want to have an eggnog.
Oh, here it is. Okay, great. So my point is, and if you take a ride by the house, you'll see it. So Hans, like when we first put these in about 3 years ago, my wife and I were like so upset because they were super short, but we staggered them, right? And so these are 12 feet tall here. You can see how tall these are. And so you can't even see the window on the existing office right now. And so each one of them is growing at a different pace. But my point would be is that over the next year or two, I think, Hans, I think you'll agree, like those spaces are going to go away. And that's why we staggered them, because if they were just arborvitaes, there would be spaces forever. But because they're staggered, it's going to go away with time. So anyways, your point is valid, but I think it is, our goal is to make sure that the front of this house maintains exactly the look you see right here, and that we very carefully place the fence so no one ever can see it behind those arborvitaes. That was the point I was looking to make.
Yeah, the only thing is, Tim, is that we can't control what, and we don't have any oversight over the arborvitaes, really.
That's fair.
And we don't know what they're going to look like in 20 years, but I do know that there's going to be two fences in there from now on. That's
and believe me, I don't want two fences either, as far as maintenance, right? Because that's, am I back to showing you guys the site plan, hopefully?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, I hear you, Hans, because here's the thing, right? I would love to have the ability to have one fence, but we can't figure out a way to do that where, well, maybe Sean, you can, use your magic wand, but my point would be is like, if I could figure out a way to have one fence and be done, that would be fantastic. So I'm all ears if you guys have a creative idea on how to do it.
Yeah, the challenge on it right now is that if we try to do something back in the middle of the yard, it really slices the yard in half, and between the kids and the dogs running back and forth, it really creates a lot of difficulty for them and the access, because the only ways to get out of the house in the back are really back kind of in line with where the pool area is. Yes. So you'd have to go out of the front door, or if you come out the side of the white chair room, if it expands, but you still go out the side of it, you're still kind of splitting the yard in half, or even say 2/3. So it's a real challenge for that. And they didn't want to sever the yard in half when it really plays out as one big large lawn in use area. So that's the real challenge.
We also lose the space here because of the setbacks. I mean, it's lovely that we have 3 separate streets that we abut to, but because we actually do, the setbacks are so large. So we're basically very limited on where we can actually put the pool, for 2 reasons. One is because of the setbacks, but also because of the septic.
Yeah, septic's an issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Hans, we will continue to play with that one, and I completely agree with you that I would love to have one. But like I said before, I absolutely love that white picket fence, and it's one that we cherish.
Yep, agreed.
So haven't heard a lot from the commission members. So any thoughts or questions or comments that the applicant can sort of take back and think a little more about?
I got one. If
Sure.
you can go back to the Christmas decorated picture, which is beautiful. I'm gonna point something out.
Sure.
Can you find it?
Yep. Hopefully.
Look how pretty that looks. And your little white chair room hardly shows because half of it is the roof coming down. to go up 2 stories with that is going to add a chunk onto the side of the house. Right now, it almost looks like a little porch on the side or a little, just a thought.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think one of the reasons we decided not to do the larger one too, is it would have taken away a lot of that. The other thing was that the other structure, if we were going to do a 2-story, it just didn't fit the property. And when we looked at it, we're like, what are we trying to do here? And we would have had to put the pool sideways, and would have eaten up a lot of the yard, and it just wouldn't go with what that part of Main Street really represents. And so I hear you loud and clear. The challenge is we're still trying to find that bedroom. So we have 5 total for 4 kids.
The house next to me is on the market, has 6 bedrooms and 3 acres.
Well, you know, it's funny you should say that, because we were like, hey, should we just move? And all of our kids said, no way, Dad. And so that's not even in play, unfortunately. I did try, so we're clear.
So any other thoughts?
I think that a site visit to look at the fence issue would be really useful. That
You see the model.
The picture is beautiful, but it's hard to sort of see what exists with those arborvitaes and how the original kind of fence in front of the home
and the roof lines
work together. So I guess I drove by actually, and I drove all around, and I went back and forth, but somehow I'm having a hard time seeing how it's all going to go together. I totally understand why you don't want to cut that beautiful lawn in half for playing and games and that kind of thing. That makes a lot of sense. But I agree with Hans. There's the 2 fence lines and the massing of the arborvitae and the fence all together is a little bit. I'm concerned about the mass on that side of the house. Just feels really heavy. So I think it would be useful to go.
I have a question. Hans, you had mentioned the metal fence, a wrought iron or something like that, as it would be a little more see-through, a little more transparent. And Tim, I don't even know if you even would consider that. We haven't even talked about that fully. But if we went to a metal picket, is that something that might seem more palatable because you're looking through it and you're not necessarily seeing it so much? Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I just think 2 fences, like a foot or 2 apart, if you lost the arborvitae or something happened to them, I think would be problematic down the road. I'm not saying it's ever going to happen, but it could. And I'm just wondering if you could do like a wrought iron, you know, just on the, you know, you got the stonework off that pool. Maybe you just run a wrought iron down, you know, you preserve your yard, but you just kind of, you run something down from the, you know, on the Main Street side of that pool next to the stone.
Can I just make a comment? I don't think we'd be talking about wrought iron, because I think it would be overly costly.
That
So
was
we're
where I was
talking
going.
about probably a tubular steel.
Is tube steel something we can do technically? We've done a couple of projects, obviously, in historic districts that are wrought iron. They aren't talking about this kind of volume of it. We're talking about much shorter runs over on Cottage Street. Would a tube steel or one of the aluminums, is that something we haven't really done a whole lot of that in the district? Would that be something that would be palatable to the group, do you think, at all?
Well, we have not approved that in the district yet.
There have been some that have been maybe back behind houses, I think, that are a little bit less visible and are still metal.
The one thing I will say, go ahead.
Oh, just another quick question about this this plan that we're looking at right now on the screen. So if you're on Main Street and you're looking at the front of the home, that bank of shrubbery on the left, I guess it's on the Thompson Avenue side of
this here.
Is that existing as it seems?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All of that is existing now. Everything you see kind of shaded in right there is meant to represent the existing arborvitae hedge, double hedge.
Gotcha. So you're only proposing the fence on the inside of that.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Sure. So Hans, I'll play with it. So here's my original thought. If we could put the pool back, I know we're talking about things that can't happen, but if we could put the pool more like back into this area here, it'd be so much easier to get to fence it off. The reason why it'd be super tough to do it now is that we'd have to figure out a way, because we'd have to be a certain amount off of the pool here, right? And then we have, I know this is not that big of a deal, but we have dogs and we have the dog fence and all that, right? So they have to be able to squeak through. So there's not a lot of space between this piece, like between these two pieces. And so that's why, and it would really kind of, like, as you said before, to kind of carve off the piece of the property. So we'll revisit it and see if there's a possibility for that, because it would save us a ton of money, to be honest with you, if we actually didn't have to pay for like all of that fencing. So, but at the same time, I think it just kind of closes off the property a little bit. So that's, we thought about that a lot, Sean, right?
Yeah, we did.
So that was probably part of it.
Well,
okay.
If I
Oh, I'm
could just
sorry.
summarize what I'm hearing, it sounds like definitely site visit is in order. Some of the things that we talked about seeing or potentially modifying here, looking at some other options are taking a look at, that the first floor wall on the white chair room and whether that aligns with up above or not. Taking a look at a view from Aberdeen that shows those dormers along the back.
Yep.
Making sure that the existing elevations are shown on the drawing so that we can see existing and proposed. It's great that there's a model. We'll look at that at the site visit. And it sounds like you're going to look at some other potential solutions for the fence. And I would suggest that whatever fence you're going to propose here is that you include photos of that fence in sort of the iteration here. So did I miss anything there?
We didn't really go into anything on the garage. I had one little comment on the garage.
Sure. Let me see if I can get to the right page for you. Are you looking for the first floor, second floor, or the actual look of it?
Looking at the, I am looking at the little gable entry point. Where is that? There's a little gate, little overhang on the door.
Oh, you want to see it from that side view? I'm guessing right here.
Yeah. So there's one on either side. There's one on the lawn side, and there's one on the back side, I guess.
There would only be one entrance here. So this is the entrance to the second floor as a dedicated entrance, whereas the other side is just connected to the primary residence.
Right, so
That
that's a
makes sense?
section cut through the roof of the overhang that connects to the house.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. All right. I'm just wondering if maybe the entrance could be simplified and made a little bit more small. It sort of juts out to the side of the house.
Yeah, and that was on me. I was trying to replicate this over here. See how we had, this is what faces Thompson. And I'd asked Al to do this on this side. If that's a challenge, it could just be a door, or however small you want to make it. Not a big deal at all, because no one's really going to see that, and it's really a door for me every day walking to work. So if it's not something you guys want to approve, I totally get it.
And
Can I
then,
add to that? Oh, I'm sorry, Kathy, go ahead.
oh, then also I'm just thinking in terms of, I guess I just want to point out to the commission at large, if we're looking at massing of this project, which there's with the dormers and the attic being proposed and the new white room, second story addition, the massing is getting large. The roof line on the garage is going up by, I don't know how many feet, quite a few feet. So I guess I'm just looking at those dormers, and I was wondering if there was a way to just make it a little bit, sit down a little bit lower. So that was just a concern I had on that.
Okay. I'd like to point out too that to keep the front door in the old part of the house more important than all the other entrance ways and posts and so forth, keeping that as a round column and the others as square posts or something less formal might be something you'd want to consider. What
Okay.
that would look like. This is 1832.
Yeah, and so I totally get it. The only reason I had asked them to do that on the side one is that it's pre-existing from another. I don't know when this was put in. So it's a good point and a good call out.
Maybe just
so
some of the other, the garage ones and the one on the other side.
yep,
And not too many main entrances.
got it.
Bad feng shui too.
Trying to look like the vast military complex to me. It's gonna, what did Eisenhower beware of the vast military complex? There's a lot happening here on a small lot that's surrounded with roads on all sides and 3 sides.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, that's why we decided not to do the 2-story pool house, number one. And number two, it's considerably smaller than what we proposed originally. That doesn't make you feel any better because you weren't involved in that process. But it should make other people who were there for it make them feel better. So that said, all right. So,
But we do have one question though. I wanted to ask a question if I could. We're talking about doing a site visit and a continuance. Question for you regarding the pool itself. One of the things that Tim is vigorously working on is locking down a contractor for the pool. And so would there be any way, I know, Andrea, we've talked in the past, and when the pool was amenable to the group or not visible, I'm not saying this isn't visible, it would be visible, but it's still just a pool with stone coping around it when it comes down to it. If there's any way for that to get some amount of approval, then Tim could secure a contractor for that and get on that list that is ever growing right now.
You know, very honestly, we don't approve pools. We just approve the fencing because the pool is, you know, it's in the ground, and unless it were to be located somewhere that was not appropriate on the spot. So in answer to your question, if Mr. Chairman, I think we can do that. We can just tell them to go ahead with the pool.
And they'd have to go through the process of applying for a pool building permit, which then it'll go through all the different departments. So it'll still come back through you.
Yes.
I just want to confirm that or ask that question.
I mean, if we don't need to necessarily take a vote, I mean, we wouldn't take a vote anyway, right?
Okay.
Andrea?
Right, we would not have to.
Right.
Okay.
I'll just sign off on the pool.
Okay. That's great. Thank you so much.
How are you gonna get the trucks in there, Sean?
Well,
Right
you know,
he-
we can
right-
come right up
right here.
Aberdeen, right?
There's an existing spot, like a hole right here that'll
Yeah, there's a
do it.
break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I promise it won't be on Main Street. So that's
It definitely will not be.
It's all right.
Yeah.
No backing out.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I'll be in touch with a date for a site visit and see if that works for you. And then we'll just go from there. Like April is kind of up in the air right now in terms of meeting dates. So I will, but I have to deal with that, or we do shortly. So you'll know soon.
Andrea, can't we keep Zooming instead of meeting? This is so much easier.
Isn't it so much easier? I like it. I like it.
No, but I've got jammies on from here down.
Hey, believe me, this is my life every day, all day. So I agree with you.
I
This is
know.
great. So
yeah.
Thank you.
I agree.
I was just gonna say a quick thank you to everybody for spending
you.
time. I know it's an hour, so thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. And I look forward to the site visit.
Great. You did a nice job.
Yeah, you did a great
You did a
job.
great job. Thanks
I
so
was
much.
winging it. I
No,
was
you
like
did a
tap
great job,
dancing.
Tim.
So thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys.
Great.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Okay.
So, all I have to say, we are just inundated with applications, and we already have a meeting scheduled for the 25th. But we have some huge projects before us. And so I'm afraid that we're going to have, Mike and I already discussed this, a second meeting in April.
That's fine.
So, okay, our first meeting is on the 18th. And so I think a subsequent meeting might be the week thereafter, if that works for people. So
I'd rather have more meetings that end earlier in the evening.
really?
I'm always hungry.
Okay, we can do that.
They could get long, that's for sure.
Yeah, they can get long. I know, since we start at 6:30, you know, it's, look, it's already 9. We did a pretty good job though, staying on
Not bad tonight.
schedule, yes.
I
So
have a-
one last thing I want to say, oh, I'm sorry, Hans, go ahead.
Oh, so Andrea, so the 15th of April is the one we have scheduled, right? The following week is school vacation week. I don't know if that's an issue for anybody.
Yes, it is. It
It is for
probably
me.
is, or maybe not.
It is for me.
It might be for the applicants too.
Probably.
So that's a good observation. Thank you.
But the 29th is a Thursday and the 8th is a Thursday. So whatever you guys want to do.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. So the last thing I have to say is that Julia has done a fantastic job with the minutes. And the only problem is that I didn't send them out. So I'm going to send them out so that you can approve them next week. So.
Okay. I'm sorry, I just have one quick procedural question. I think it's been asked before, so I apologize. As an individual that is a non-voting member, are they allowed to make a motion? Is that something permissible? Do you have to be a voting member?
You have to be a voting member, or you have to be appointed to vote.
Okay, it's just that when I hear crickets, I'm so tempted to chime in and help with the motion.
Well, you
So
can always
that's all.
help. Helping is one thing.
But I'm not allowed to make the motion unless I'm a voting member.
Right.
When we get into siding and windows, then I get a little anxious about my motion making. So I'm not quite there yet. I like it simple.
I let the crickets go until it borders on awkward silence.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, move
Good
to
job.
adjourn.
All right,
those in
thank you,
favor?
Julia.
All right. Thank you, Julia.
Rose,
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
thanks, everybody.
See you next week.
Yep.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye.